Hey everybody, it's Will Deming here, president of HavenScope, with a very special episode of the HavenScope podcast. On today's episode, we're not going to be talking about one specific movie in general. I just wanted to get some people here kind of towards first half of the semester, kind of talk about what they've been watching recently. The next couple of episodes, we are going to go back to our regular format. In fact, we're going to be talking about movies such as Dreamgirls, Baby Driver, and then we're actually going to go and do a special Halloween episode towards the end of this month, but not going to quite reveal what exactly that one's going to be about just yet. But on today's podcast, I have three great guests, such as
Jeremiah Parson,
Rochelle Lawrence,
Rich Hilliard.
Okay. And if you guys want to talk to the audience, let them know, like, what's your major, your year, that kind of thing.
I am a senior in the Media and Journalism Department, and I am the secretary of HavenScope.
I'm also a senior in the Media and Journalism Department, and I'm the treasurer of HavenScope.
I'm a freshman in the marine biology major, and I just joined the club.
Okay. I am also a senior too, but I am a super senior. I am a super senior with senioritis that has senioritis as well. But anyway, Rich, is there any particular reason, since you're not a comm major, why you were interested in HavenScope?
I was always interested in media. I just never was so interested as to make it into a career of mine.
Okay. All right, and let's get into the topic that we're going to do today, which is just, what have you guys been watching recently? Like, Jeremiah, I've heard you've watched the latest, the X movie in the X trilogy, right?
Yeah, I was a big fan of the first two, especially the prequel Pearl, which was right in the middle. I was not very enthused with how MaXXXine turned out.
That's not great.
Yeah, it felt like they were really banking on the 80s Hollywood nostalgia, and I think that market's kind of oversaturated.
Yeah.
The story just kind of meandered around. There was a few points where it seemed like it was going for shock value rather than genuine horror.
Did the other two movies take place in the 70s, or are they a little bit, because I know the second one is a prequel, like what time did they take?
The first one was 70s. The prequel took place late 30, probably early 40s. The husband character was away at the war.
All right.
So
this is it's the end of the trilogy. They're not going to do any more than this, right? Do you know if they've announced anything? Because I don't even know how well that movie did, actually.
I think it was also financially disappointment. Yeah. Definitely was critically. I know I'm not the only one that feels that way.
That stinks.
Yeah.
I had a few friends that I think they liked the third one a decent amount. They were pretty into the trilogy. They were looking forward to it. Honestly, probably because of the fact that I don't know that much of how much they felt about it, probably tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
She turns to the camera and, through her trauma, addresses the lens directly.
Like, has the director done anything else? Because I know he's done those three movies.
Those are his only three. X was his directorial debut. I do have one that is next on my list that I am looking forward to watching here pretty soon. It's called I Saw the TV Glow.
Oh, that I have heard. My friends did see that, and they loved that. They really enjoyed that.
Yeah. A24 is going to come out with one really good horror movie each year. Talk to Me last year, I think.
Oh yeah.
Barbarian maybe the year before that. I could be wrong.
Has it really been 2 years since Barbarian came out?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I might be completely wrong about that.
You're fine.
But
I mean, what are years anyway after COVID?
Yeah.
Anyway, like, we've all lost so many years, and it still feels like 2019 was last year. Yeah, Rich?
I actually worked in a movie theater whenever Barbarian was playing. It was almost exactly 2 years ago.
Okay, you nailed it, Jeremiah. But how about we'll segue to you, Rich? Has there been anything you've been watching recently?
I just went recently, I want to say a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and saw the second Beetlejuice movie.
Ooh, nice. Are you a fan of Beetlejuice, like the first one?
I actually had never seen it until maybe a month ago. Okay. I was over visiting with my dad, and he said that, hey, we should go see a movie. So there was two options, either between Alien Romulus or Beetlejuice 2. So to prepare for that, him and I watched the first Beetlejuice movie, which for me was my first time ever watching the film. And I can say I was a fan of it. I think some of the characterization, especially that they gave the titular character, was a little odd and kind of dated, all things considered.
From the first movie specifically?
Yes.
Okay.
The second one, they toned down a lot of his more gross behaviors, because there's gross like gross out humor, and then there's gross like predatory, which he was a lot of in the first film.
It was a different time. It was a different time back then. 'Cause that would have been, was that 80s or 90s? Does anyone know?
It's probably 80s.
I think 80s.
I could see late 80s. Yeah, 'cause that sounds about right for the good Tim Burton era.
Yeah, and I ended up not seeing Beetlejuice after that anyways. My dad told me we should go see Alien Romulus instead, so I kind of wasted the opportunity to go for a back-to-back viewing of both of them. But a couple weeks later, I caught back up and I ended up seeing the second one. And I'm not sure if it's a recency bias thing or it's because it was genuinely a decent film, but I actually did very much enjoy the sequel movie about as much as I enjoyed the first one. I know it was probably a disappointment for a lot of people because it's kind of hard not to have a movie that comes out 30, 40 years after the first one not be a disappointment.
And we've had so many of those.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially because it seems like a very big thing in Hollywood right now to be sort of recycling really old properties and bringing them back for some grandiose return.
Make some money.
It's money. It's always money, but...
Got to get franchisable IP, because they're going to do a third Beetlejuice, and it will be called Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. And yes, I just said that.
Boy.
Oh,
That's clever.
Oh,
Marketing
boy.
department needs a raise on that one.
It'll be like that Community episode where you eventually showed up in the background. But like, what should you say you liked more, Rich?
Oh, absolutely Alien Romulus between the two. Oh, you mean if the movies I saw Beetlejuice?
Well, I was gonna also bring that up, but okay, between the two Beetlejuices.
Oh, I think I liked the first one a little bit more. Just on the basis of the fact that, yes, the practical effects in the second movie, because they actually did have a good bit of practical effects in it. I was shocked with how few instances of like super, super noticeable CGI there was in them. The few practical effects that I did see in the second one, they weren't nearly as good as the first. I mean, the first was a lot closer to whenever Tim Burton was doing a lot of stop motion. So the entirety of the stuff with the sandworms and everything was all done in beautiful stop motion in that movie. So I think between that and having a little bit stronger and more tight of a premise, I think Beetlejuice 1 was my preferred of the two.
Okay, that's cool. Have either of you guys seen Beetlejuice 1 or 2? Anything?
Nope.
I've seen part 1, but it was years ago, so I really don't remember it.
I'm in the same boat, Rochelle. I have, like, I can tell you, like, scenes from that movie. I know the whole Beetlejuice thing, basically. But, like, if I saw it, it was as a kid, and it is out of my mind. It is gone. There's nothing there. Like, barely remember. Because is there a song about bananas or something? There's like a song at a dinner table, right?
Yeah, so there's a scene in the movie where it's Beetlejuice first being invited into the house. The whole premise is that he's a ghost exorcist.
Yeah, okay.
He tries to get people out of houses that have ghosts still living in them attached to them. And that was, I think, his big first effort as a group of people. He possessed everybody in the room and had them all do a musical number.
Okay. I've definitely seen this scene then.
I cannot for the life of me remember what the song was, but there was a notable part with bananas with it. They actually did reference it in the second movie.
I think they did a slowed down version, which is always a great thing. So many stop doing this, movie studios and video games. Stop doing popular songs, but slowed down and really dramatic. It's a trend that I think we could stop. I don't think we need to do it anymore.
And reverbed.
It's slow and reverb. It's just like I think it's good. I think we're good. You don't need to get like the upbeat pop song.
Chopped and screwed.
To be fair, would anybody be particularly angry if I mentioned a relatively early scene in the movie for that? Or
no, you can bring it up. We'll bring it up.
So the actual scene that the song plays in the second movie is at the funeral of one of the characters from the first movie. It's a choir of like people singing the same song. So I think it was done that slowed down for this sort of like comedic effect of, look, it's the song from the first movie, but now one of the main characters of the first movie is a corpse, and we're all singing the same song.
All right, so they actually went to a little bit of effort and added some context. Yes. Okay, fine, Hollywood or Tim Burton, whoever wrote this movie, whoever fully directed it. Okay, you got me there. Okay. Any other thoughts you want to talk about with Beetlejuice 1 or 2?
I was really impressed with Michael Keaton's performance, especially a piece of information that always shocks people is to hear that Beetlejuice was only in, I think, 17 total minutes of the first film.
Oh, okay. I think I had heard something about that, yeah.
Michael Keaton's character of Beetlejuice shows up an extraordinarily small amount in that film, but he completely steals the show in it, and the second movie is no exception. I believe he has more screen time in this one, like, per capita. Like, I don't know if... Of course, he's going to have more regardless because this film is in a more modern age of movies where movies tend to be a little bit longer than the clean 90 that they used to be back then. Yeah. But proportionately, I think he was also in this film more, and he was easily the best part of the movie.
Okay.
I swear on my dead mother's soul. Days.
All right, so we had Jeremiah disappointed, Rich pretty into it. Now, Rochelle, what have you seen recently, and did you like it or not? Or was it just something you rewatched?
I've been doing a rewatch of Grimm, so...
Is that a
Pretty
TV
exciting.
show?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think I know some of this. What is it about?
So it's basically this this police officer and his family, they call them like the Grimms, and they hunt monsters. They're the only ones who can see monsters in their true form.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so this has been like a rewatch for you?
Yeah, I love it. I rewatch it like every 2 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. How long is it? Like, is it a long series?
It's a couple seasons. I don't remember exactly how many, but it's a few.
Is it every 2 years during Halloween by any chance? Like
Possibly.
Okay.
Who knows?
You subconsciously didn't know you were doing it this
Yeah.
whole time, because it sounds like a good like Halloween show, honestly.
It is, and like the graphics of the people turning into monsters, you can tell it's like it's like 2011, but still, it's like the older graphic style, so you can tell.
Yeah, it still holds up.
Watch.
Yeah. Is it what have you been watching it on? Is it just like Netflix, an other service?
I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
All right.
Maybe.
Who would you? Is there any like particular like fans of other shows that you'd recommend it to? Like, have you ever seen Supernatural?
Definitely. If you like Supernatural, you love it. If you like, I don't want to say Criminal Minds, because Criminal Minds is like in a different like genre of things, but still, it's like crime, find the bad guy. So
Yeah.
if you like that type of stuff, definitely give it a watch.
So is it more of like a week to week, case by case, like not like one set, like I'm sure there's some overarching like storylines, but is it kind of like every week's like a different thing pretty much?
Yeah, like every episode, it's a different case. They're on a different case with a different monster. So
Okay.
There are things you don't know. Things about your family.
My family. You're my family.
Have you been seeing strange things?
All right, I guess it's up to me now. What I've been watching, I have been watching through Better Call Saul. Has anyone here seen Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul?
I have watched both TV shows 3 times.
Okay, we got a fan here. Rochelle, Jeremiah, Breaking Bad at all? Neither of you guys have watched Breaking Bad? You should watch Breaking Bad, but I'm gonna
Not on Max. That's where I watch all my prestige.
Well, it's on.
shows.
Okay, it's on Netflix. I'll say this. And Rich, feel free to jump over the table and strangle me to death, but I'm gonna say it. Better Call Saul is the better show in my opinion. I think it is a stronger overall show. I think part of that is because of the fact that they did all of Breaking Bad, and just as creatives, they've gotten better themselves. So like at the end of the day, they had to make Breaking Bad to make Better Call Saul. But like in my opinion, I think it is better than Breaking Bad.
You're in a jury of your peers here. There's no competition for me. Better Call Saul is the better TV show.
Okay.
It accomplishes more as a character drama than Breaking Bad did, because Breaking Bad still had remnants of, it almost felt like it kind of had to be more actiony in some segments. The best parts of Breaking Bad were the character deconstruction, specifically of Walter White. And of course, Bryan Cranston was easily the best thing about Breaking Bad. His acting was top notch in that. But goodness, what's his name? Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, Bob Odenkirk. Yeah.
When he played Saul, whereas in Breaking Bad, on and off, I felt Bryan Cranston was giving the presentation of Walter White slipping into this Heisenberg persona that he had. Bob Odenkirk does a phenomenal job of, from second one of the series to the very last part of it, showing that gradual slope that he's going down, getting worse, falling into worse habits, and then the actual moment when I feel like it's interesting to note that both shows have a moment of a character becoming more of a fake identity than themselves. With Breaking Bad, obviously, it's Walter White becoming more Heisenberg than Walter White.
Yeah.
And in Better Call Saul, it's the same thing of Jimmy McGill at one point stopping being Jimmy McGill entirely and becoming Saul Goodman.
And I think one of the things I've loved watching the series, and I pretty much have watched the whole thing probably over the course of a month now. I actually have a couple episodes left. I kind of know what happens, so it's not a big deal. But like, visually, the show is so much stronger than Breaking Bad in every way. Every scene of the show has like has a meaning and a purpose, and it is Breaking Bad already did some stuff pretty well. Better Call Saul is just on a completely different level. One of the things I love that they do is in some of the later seasons, I think it starts in 5, they actually it seems like they're color grading the show just a tad bit differently. Everything's a little bit, it feels sharper and duller. Like there's still some vibrant colors, but you see that gradual decline even in that aspect of the show of how Jimmy is becoming Saul and like seeping further and further down into like the underworld. And it's one of those things that just to me just seems so much stronger than Breaking Bad in every way that just it makes it the better show. There's some really great shots that I'll show them on screen because they're great shots, but out of context they're very silly. There's literally just a shot where it's just like he's like peering around a corner, you see his like face reflected, but it's like the same side reflected. It's some very silly stuff. Out of context seems, some people would probably be like, what are you talking about, Will? But like in the context of the show, like the things that they do, it's just you guys should watch, Jeremiah, Rochelle, you should watch Breaking Bad and then you should watch Better Call Saul.
See, the thing is, I'm healing from it, but I had a petty reason for not watching Better Call Saul.
Oh, no.
Huge Succession fan, and then film, TV, Twitter, there's a lot of wars between Better Call Saul. And I know the show is probably amazing. Their fans were just so annoying that I'm like, okay, I need a break. Forget that this fandom exists before I can watch it objectively.
Well, here's the thing. The Succession fans won, though, because Better Call Saul, I think it literally has the record for like most Emmy nominations ever without a single win. And I think part of that is because, one, there were some very, very strong shows on at the same time. Yeah. But then, two, it's a prequel series, and a lot of people are going to look down on that just in general. Well, especially like it's a prequel of the comedic character from Breaking Bad. What do you mean that can't be good? Even though it's better than Breaking Bad.
Well, it was also the part of it of the fact that it was one of the biggest shoes to fill situations that I've seen in a sort of, I would say arguably an offshoot, like what's the term for it? A spin-off.
Yes, yeah. It's a prequel and it's a spin-off.
Yes, which is already very hard to do. But on top of that, the fact that it was done of a TV show, which I'm sure, like opinionated wise, you could say is one of the better, or like one of the better, if not the best, like modern television show. Myself, I'm partial to The Sopranos. I still think it's a better show than Breaking Bad, in my opinion, because James Gandolfini is an amazing actor. But I digress. Breaking Bad, objectively speaking, is some of the highest rated television in television history. And that show won a lot of awards. So I think, especially prominently whenever the earlier seasons of Better Call Saul were coming out, there was the problem that people were trying too much to see it as another extension of Breaking Bad, which it wasn't. It needed to be treated so much more like a spin-off that was tonally trying to do something differently. And I think the visual storytelling you were talking about with some of the shots that they do, and notably every season, the intro of the episodes, the thing you're saying about the color grading and the way that it sort of changes also happens to the intro a lot more dramatically.
It degrades more and more as the show goes on, which is very fun to see.
So I don't know. I can definitely see how the show got set up for a lot of nominations but never got any, because a lot of people weren't and still aren't willing to treat it like its own property. But when they do, I think they'll be pleasantly surprised with how good it is.
Rochelle, have you any interest in watching Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul?
I've seen like the first minute of Breaking Bad.
Okay.
But it's just like, I think he's in a trailer or something.
Oh yeah, he's like outside in the desert. It's like the cold open. He's like in his underwear. He's got like the gun and like the camcorder.
Yeah, and then I just turned it off, and I didn't have any interest of turning it back on. So.
Okay, that's fine. It's okay. I will recommend it. It's really good. Trust me, it is.
Now, would you be surprised to learn, Mr. Harkness, that the person you just pointed to is not the defendant?
What?
And my client is in the back of the courtroom. Mr. Seki, would you please stand up?
Objection.
Now, the person you ID'd is named Hollis Early. He's a bartender down in Berlin. What? He has a very good alibi for the night in question.
Your Honor, objection.
Oh, Mr. Goodnight.
Really?
You didn't recognize him either, Your Honor.
All right.
Okay. That was a special episode of the HavenScope podcast. Our next episode, we will return to our regular format. We maybe haven't fully decided if we're going to do Dream Girls or Baby Driver next, but you guys have that to look forward to. Thank you guys all for listening and watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.